Just want to make sure that looks, you guys can see that. Thank you guys for being here, and it's fun that I know everybody too. Or well, I've seen you before, so we know each other somehow. We're just, yeah. We're probably related? Probably. I know there might be a couple more people coming in, and that's totally fine. But before we get started, I would love, because we're a great kind of smaller group, I'd love for you guys to just kind of know who everybody is and I think we all have businesses and we're running things. So I would love to hear about your businesses so we can do that. Then I need to post it on social media. And if I do that, I should have my own website. And if I have my own website, maybe I should have my own newsletter. But if I have my own newsletter, how do I do? And then kids and life and it's so much to manage, right? And so what I'm doing here is I was able to get a grant from the Northwest Pennsylvania Arts and Culture. Ethan from Erie Arts and Culture said, I really would love for you to apply. And I said, okay. And then he's like, hey, you got it. And I'm like, yay. Now what? Now I have to come up with an idea of what we're going to do and what we're going to talk about. And so I really wanted to talk about this art of visual storytelling because I've been doing photography since I was 8 years old, and understanding that the underlying story, capturing story is such a big part of the images that we capture. So, I mean, a lot of people just, snap an image and post it, and that's great. But what if it was connected to a bigger overarching story? And so that's what we're going to talk about. So I have probably about 20, 25 minutes. What's that?
So I already feel inadequate.
Oh, no. And you can stop me anytime and ask any questions because I've been...
Will you take all my photos?
Sure. No. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank, this is my husband, Dave. He also owns his own business. Clarity Pro. I mean, he's actually had a lot of businesses as well. We like to abuse ourselves with starting businesses. Just really our big why is because the freedom of time and being able to spend time with our kids. And so starting businesses is always, how can I help someone and how can I do this authentically, but how can I grow my business? And so this workshop's kind of this conglomeration of all of our past experiences and bringing all this together under photography and storytelling. And I'm going to try to bring the photography part and the storytelling part all under one big umbrella so it's easy to understand. So my goal is to help you connect better with your audience so that you guys can grow your business, because this is why we're here. So, how do we stand out from all the rest? There's a lot of photographers out there. There's a lot of boutiques. There's a lot of nonprofits. And so how do we stand out as a business? That's something that we're going to talk about. So like I said, I've asked myself this question. I've been on so many rabbit trails and there's puzzle pieces everywhere. And what I've discovered is there's no straight path. So I've tried to put together a 3-step process, but also realize it's not always exactly like you do this and then you do this and then you do this. But putting in some kind of framework will hopefully help us get these next steps. So, it's more about taking great photos. It's about the purpose behind it. It's about capturing the story behind it. And so I put together a pixel story framework that will hopefully help us put all these puzzle pieces under one thing. So I wrote a lot of notes and I don't think I want to mention that. So really quick, first of all, what is visual storytelling? Bye guys. In photography, it's the art of capturing images to tell a story that makes you feel something. Or understand it better. So like I said, I've been doing photography since I was 8. I took classes in college, and then after college, Dave and I were working with a band. And so we traveled with a band, and I was taking photos of the band, and it was all sorts of different lighting situations. So you have to learn really quick how to do all your different settings on your camera, like in pitch dark or with really bright lights, and things are changing all the time. And then that led into taking pictures, like doing portraits in Nashville. And then that led to doing wedding photos, because we lived in Nashville for a while and then we moved back here to Sagertown. And I started doing weddings and portraits, realized there was a hole in the market for really beautiful packaging. And so I created my own packaging company. And that's when like Millie and I were both, she was making organic diapers. I was making craft paper CD sleeves. And so, and then through that, taking photos of those products and putting them online and connecting with an audience who also wanted something simple, beautiful. Because back then it was just jewel cases, and it was just a plastic jewel case. I was like, I can't give my bride this. Like, it's got to be something beautiful. So my story is more or less just figuring things out as I go, and learning the next step. And so, through taking photos, I started putting together websites. I'm a huge fan of Squarespace. I love how easy it is to use. And so when people said, oh, wow, I see you do a website. Do you do websites? Sure. Yes, I can help with websites. And so then I was using a lot of Pexels photos. Have you ever heard of Pexels? Mm-hmm. There's Pexels and Unsplash, and there's a whole bunch of royalty-free images that you can use. And so I started putting them up online because I was using other people's Pexels photos that had the right feel and the right emotion to go with the website. And I thought, I'm just going to give back. So I'm going to put my photos up there. And so this here is my daughter, Callie. She's 16 now and driving. That photo and my son's photo in Millie's living room, like whatever I take pictures of, Millie's like, I'm in an Italian magazine. Is that what it was?
That was one of the dresses that I made. And
yes, that's right.
Was like, Callie could be the model. So that's Jess's dirt road.
Yep. I know it cuts it off, but
took a picture of us, she's acting like she's taking a picture of us, and that's everywhere. Like, we find that picture online everywhere.
Wow.
There's thousands and thousands, and there's different variations of it too. There's one of her like sideways, looking, and
it was on like one last year, and I just scrolling through Facebook, and Callie was looking at me in my dress, and I was like, there she is again.
There she is. So it's fun being able to, and you never know what's going to lead to the next, right? And so you just take pictures and post them for people to use. And I did a whole series of this. So this is a really old coffee table that I bought in Edinburgh for $5 at a yard sale. And I've used this table this is the same table as a backdrop for 100 different photos, and they're all over the place. They're in like CNN.com and Yahoo and Pop Sugar and like all these places that you find all of these images. So now Pexels is a free thing, so I really don't make a lot of money on all this. It's more of a passion project that I'm able to give back and and talk about photography. So I'm glad you're here. So, but I'm gonna jump back to websites. So in the process of, yes, I love taking photos. In the process of doing websites, just kind of discovered that there's this huge importance to story that brings us all together. So in this workshop, some websites that we've put together. Now this is fun because this is Ellen's up here. And so I found a really cool image of this lady sitting on this rock, having the essence that we want. And then I just checked her website a few days ago, and Ellen actually was able to capture that, but that's her on there.
I was on vacation in North Carolina. This is at the top of Grandfather Mountain, and we just grabbed some poor person that, I'm like, hey, can you take my cell phone? I need this photo of us, of our backs. And I'm sure the poor guy was like, okay, that's a weird request. And so my daughter and I, we finally got a picture that matched what was originally on the website, but it's actually us.
And that's your phone photo, right?
It is. It was just a self.
That's awesome. But I think what makes it amazing is it captures the essence of what you're going for, you know? So even though phone photos have come a long way. I know you mentioned like, how can I take pictures with my phone? Like, so I have some lights and stuff that we can just have fun with it and figure out how to take better pictures with our phone or camera. We're going to talk later too about, should I hire a photographer? Can I do this myself? So we're going to go through all of that too. So, it cuts her off, but this is the picture that Callie cuts the top of her off. But if you know Brant, that's Brant's guitar. Carrie came over and we took pictures of his guitar. His guitar is everywhere online as well. So Dave's hand has made it to many websites. And a hand model. So in this, we're going to ask these questions. Why storytelling? If we know storytelling is important, what story do we even tell? And then how do we capture that story? So why is storytelling important? So what you just said, why is it important? Because it creates an emotional impact. It creates human connection, because we all have stories. We all come from different stories, and stories connect us. And stories can be either to inspire, to educate, to entertain. And so knowing our story will guide us into, am I educating my followers about something? Am I inspiring them with new ideas? Am I going to entertain them with like funny stories that happen behind the scenes? So those are different things you can add into your story. So what I'm going to introduce is this pixel story framework, because stories plus your images make the emotional connection, and the emotional connection is what gives us our loyal customers. They're the ones that are going to keep coming back because they know what you're all about. And so in your workbook, and you totally don't have to follow along, you can if you want, but in your workbook, I have listed out, it's the Power Off. The Pixel Story Framework, basically capturing the essence of your business through photos. Now, when I put this together, I'm borrowing from a couple different things and kind of putting it all under one Pixel Story framework, because we're going to be talking about brand archetypes. And the brand archetypes, there's a girl online called kputnam.com. She has a quiz that you can go through and figure out what your brand archetype is. I found just a lot of really help narrowing down my message and the images that I take through her. Now, there's a lot of people now who have a lot of brand archetypes. And then also, I'm going to be mentioning Donald Miller. He has Story Brand Framework, and he talks about the story itself. So being able to have the images and the character, putting the character into a story and putting that all under our own story is going to help us hopefully create a connection, a very deep emotional connection with the people who we get to work with. So this is the basic framework is we're going to discover the soul of our business, understanding the emotional core of our brand, and then we can craft our story. We identify the customer as the hero. We're guiding them to success, whatever the success may look like. And then we're going to figure out how we're going to share the story visually. So the tools and techniques to share, what colors do we use? Are there textures that we use that capture the story that we're trying to tell? So that's kind of this in a nutshell. And if you have any questions, you can stop me and let me know, because like I said, I have lots of puzzle pieces in my brain, and this is me trying to stay focused. So the first part, discover your business, and then I just made extra slides that I did not go through. And then sharing your story visually. A lot of people put together mood boards. Mood boards are great because you can get the colors and textures and the essence and feel that you want. I love innovation and design. I love simplicity and beauty. And so trying to capture that in the different things that I do, it kind of narrows down my personal brand, and figuring out who is Jessica, what does she do, and how does she do it. It kind of puts an umbrella under that. You know, I'm not going to be a Harley Davidson kind of person, right? Like this is going to be more light and airy kind of photos that I do. And so the first part is discovering the soul of your business. So understanding the emotional core of your brand. And this is where we're going to introduce the idea of brand archetypes. So a psychologist, and of course going into this, this is where we're going to ask, how do people feel about your business? I think we've already kind of discussed why capturing the right images is really important, because it makes that emotional connection. And then how can you evoke that emotion in customers? So those are things we're going to kind of dive into. In your workbook, there's a page that has a whole bunch of different feelings. And this is just kind of for you to like just circle ones that you feel like this is how I want to connect with my customers. I want them to be comforted, or I want them to feel free-spirited. So here, there's lots of them. And these are things that you can go back and kind of revisit, because there's a lot of questions in there that you might not know right away, and that's totally fine if you don't know the answers. This is just getting you to think how to drill down into your brand. And this is great because there's things that you're not circling that you can say, well, that's not really me. And so those are the kind of emotions that you either maybe don't need to capture or you stay away from. But the things that you circle, those are the kind of emotions that you're going to be capturing in your images. Or at least you're going to approach your images from this kind of point of view. So these are all great because they fall into these different archetypes. So back in the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1890s, Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and he founded analytical psychology. And so I'm just going to read like a little story about him, and he founded this brand archetype idea. And so this is basically the psychology behind why we do what we do, why we make the decisions we make, because a lot of people just make automatic decisions based on these different archetypes. And so this is just a little bit more background to give you a good feel for the idea behind this brand archetype. So imagine your brain's like a big library with lots of stories that everyone around the world knows these different stories, even if they've never met. So Carl Jung thought about these stories, and these stories are in everybody's brain library. So he said these stories are they're like secret paths that help everyone understand really big, complicated ideas, kind of like symbols on a treasure map, make it easier to find a treasure. So Jung believed that these paths are so special and always there in our brains that we should sort them into groups. So he called these groups archetypes. And the archetypes are like different characters in the stories that we recognize. It's kind of like in video games, there's different characters. They have their own special abilities and personalities. So for people who make stuff and sell stuff, like toys or clothes, these archetypes are useful because they help people figure out what kind of story their brand is telling. So it helps our customers see our things without us having to explain it. It's just this underlying essence of what our core message is. So it's like if you have a superhero toy, you already think it's brave and strong, and you don't have to say, this is brave and strong, because we already see that it is brave and strong. So when a company understands what their brand story is, they can make sure that everything they do, say, fits into that story. And it makes them easier to create things that people, like their customers, really like, because they feel it's a part of the story they already know from their brain library. So that's kind of this idea behind brand archetypes. So that's kind of the big introduction behind that. So in your book, I was hoping they would be side by side when they printed, but they're not. You'll have to flip back and forth. But these are the different characters or brand archetypes that Carl Jung had put together. And we're going to go through and I'm going to have you guess what the different brand archetypes are based on their photos. So you have all of this in your book. So the first thing, I'm going to make it easy for the first one.
Okay.
So if you have this kind of brand archetype and you use this kind of image, what?
You know, it's
The
creator.
The creator, yeah. I need to have this open. I mean, the light bulb probably gave it away, right? So when we look at the creator, creative, innovative, original, and these are the different kinds of companies that use that creative brand. And so as we go through these, I want you to think about, oh wow, I really resonate with that particular archetype. I really resonate with this. Then you can look and see, oh, okay, if I'm a creator, maybe I should look at Lego's Instagram page and get ideas for like the creativeness that they're doing, maybe the colors that they're using. So this is just getting your brain to think outside of the box. So the next one, another kind of easy one. The outlaw. Yeah, outlaw, the rebellious brand. What's that? Oh, sorry.
That's what I guessed.
Yes. Yes, outlaw for sure. Rebellious, unconventional, free-spirited, and we can all name. Yeah. Now, some of these, the thing with brand archetypes is you don't just pick your archetype and go, oh, I am this. I think we all kind of figure out what our story is and what we resonate with. And you can be 2 or 3 different ones. So I kind of relate with the creator and the innocent. And so there's different things about those 2 or 3 different archetypes that I want to bring in, the story I want to bring into my own business. Because everybody's unique. Everybody has a different story that they're telling. And so it's okay to kind of borrow. And again, this is just a guide. This isn't, you have to be just this. This just gives people, their brain library, an idea of, okay, I resonate with that because I understand that story. All right, here's the next one.
Caregiver.
Yeah, caregiver. Before I hit the next button, any brands that you think would be a good caregiver brand?
I feel like in healthcare company.
Yeah.
Like
Nursing home.
maybe not.
Nursing home. Like
Nursing home, yeah.
Or like
Is there, like,
CVS or
insurance?
Walgreens or I don't know. I feel
Yeah, I could see that. Yep.
Yeah, maybe. It's not as like baby products.
Yes.
Like Pampers.
Yeah.
State Farm.
Like they were.
Like a good neighbor. Actually, State Farm might be more of like regular guy girl. So, but it could be a blend of both too. Maybe. I don't know. So the ones I've listed are here. Huggies, Johnson & Johnson, Campbell's soup, good. We're gonna take care of you, like just have our soup, feel taken care of. How about this one?
Oh. Could be. Yeah, it could be either one. I'm thinking that too.
Oh yeah, with the flowers, it could.
Yeah.
I listed this one as innocent, but yes, it could have a little bit of lover to it too.
Yeah.
Innocent. I thought when
Coca-Cola.
I know, I was looking that up and so many different people were saying McDonald's. And I think it's just more
I can see that.
happy.
Like,
Yeah.
it's been there, it's.
Yes.
Interesting.
And you take your kids there, and you were taken there as a kid. I don't know, but other than that, it's not very comforting.
It's right after you visit, it's not comforting. Or like Honest, there's those Honest juice boxes or the Honest diapers. Isn't that the Honest diaper brand? Yeah. Okay, here's the next one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Explorer brand. These are going to be your, SpaceX, Tesla, Jeep, REI. All right.
The regular guy.
Yep. You see how all of these images just have the different feel and essence to it, and they're kind of they're all into the different buckets, right? So this would be Ford, Target, IKEA. So again, if you resonate with this, you can take a look at Target and see how they're marketing things, or look at IKEA and the different images that they're.
Totally resonates like
Me too. I got
Yeah. I do too.
Okay, that is the
See.
Yes. Absolutely. Sage. Enlightened, informed, thoughtful. And I feel like sage could be a broad, like yoga instructor. That one's pretty obvious. Any brands that you think of with a lover?
K's.
K's, every kiss begins with K.
Bachelor.
The Bachelor. Yeah,
That's
chocolate. Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Godiva, Dior.
Oh, that's a big one.
I think there's 2 more left. Maybe 2 or 3.
Is that the magician?
Yes. Yes, the magician. This can be taken a couple different ways too. When you think of magician, sometimes you think like crystal ball type of thing, but also Disney is a magician, like a magical fantasy.
Yeah.
So Disney, Dyson. TED Talks, that could go in the sage as well. I looked some of these up, and a lot of people said TED was like a magician. So I can see that. But again, that TED might be a really good example of 2 different archetypes that you could use.
You're always trying to bring like, what don't you know? How can I just wow you?
Yeah.
I have that
True.
for TED Talks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, never thought of that.
Good tester.
That one's fun. Yes. The Jester. Yes, the Old Spice commercials, like always hilarious. M&M's, Doritos. The Doritos always had big Super Bowl commercials that they did. So if you have any kind of humor, like how can you infuse your humor into your brand? Maybe use look at her colors and stripes, and you can have a little bit more fun with your brand if you come from that. Yes. What about brands that you think ruler type?
Fashion, high fashion.
Oh yeah, I could see that. High fashion.
Yeah.
Degree.
Yeah.
Sayings like
Perfume.
Perfume could be.
Because she's all classy looking.
Crown Royal is,
Okay.
Cadbury
egg. Now Cadbury, you could have chocolate that's in the lover category. You could have something more the prestigious, royal type of category. So again, all of these things, just slight changes, positions, especially if there's so many different photographers, there's a million photographers around here. So how do you put yourself as someone different? Using this can help kind of guide the images that you take. So
follow a girl on, I don't know, I just follow her because her photos are so cool, and she always talks about like point of view, but your mom's I forget what they call it, fantasy photographer. And it's like she does the artwork outside. Like she'll take the photo and the kid's just going like this, and then I forget what it's called, but I am just enthralled with those photos. I can never do it, but I think it's so neat that I could see versus a wedding photographer being a lover, them being, in that fantasy world that is just so fantastic and cool and creative. It'd be hard to pin them in a thing, but they stand out because they do that.
Right. And they find their own process and time to figure out how to create those images.
Right. It's just really cool, but I can see now how, not all photographers would be this, but.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So again, why do we even learn about all these brand archetypes? I kind of fell into it when I was trying to figure out how to stand out and tell my story. And honestly, I'm still figuring it out, you know, and like everything I create could be like a different brand archetype. So it's just a great way to figure out your brand colors and your fonts and your customer, what kind of experience do you want your customer to have? And so the story the character helps guide the story. One of my favorite tools is Pinterest. So if you go on Pinterest and you feel like I really resonate with the Lover brand, you can go on Pinterest and type in Lover archetype, and you can spend hours on there, like rabbit trails and figuring out, oh, okay, this is my brand. What are the messages in different brands, and what kind of images are they saying? What kind of messages are they sharing? So Pinterest is a really great resource. Hopefully it doesn't overwhelm you because it can get overwhelming. So we'll just take a couple minutes. Maybe you can write down if there's something that really sticks out with you in your reflection section about what brand archetype do you resonate with most. Maybe think, are there a couple that you could infuse together? And this is something you can come back to. But I'll give you just a couple minutes to think about that before we go on to step 2.
Have fun.
Right. And it's hard too, because when you're starting your business, you do come to a point where you're like, I'll take anybody. Like, right. I've got to figure this out.
Yeah.
But then you've been doing this long enough. Now you're starting to figure out, I really love doing this. Or I love doing this kind of hairstyle. I love that. So I think eventually it will just evolve into doing more and more of what you want. Yeah. And don't ever feel like you shouldn't post something. Sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm just going to post something and see how it does, because you never know. Absolutely.
I'm a photographer nowadays. That's what I do. But I like sports photography. It doesn't pay well unless you have a team, and I don't have a team right now. So it's all community service, basically. My son's a football player. We have soccer players. I take lots and lots of sports pictures. And I love it, and the families love it because I give it to them for free. And then the families end up booking with me. So I pay for myself through family photography and senior photography. And what I'm finding is I love senior photography. I did not think I was going to like it, but I actually love it. And I'm finding, kind of like you're saying about blue hair, I'm reflected in all of the pictures. I see the final product before the client does. So for instance, I had a girl book with me, and she ended up being the homecoming queen. And she got crowned on Friday night, and our session was on Sunday. And she also won nationals for soccer this year in Colorado. And so she has these two sides of her. And she, like every homecoming queen gets voted, right? So there were all these people voting for her. And I knew her sort of, but not well, really. Like we've had 30-second conversations. But I was able to capture who she was, these two really drastic sides of her, and then post these pictures of her. And really, her mom was like, it was a good moment for me, right? Because they were super happy. But she was like, you saw the vision of who she was and told us what to do and how to get there. And so I think, I didn't know that the whole brand archetype existed, but as I'm looking through it, I think most of my clients are rulers. They're like people that are
homecoming queen.
They do. They're like confident. And I didn't even.
That makes sense.
They're prestigious. They're confident. They're in control of who they are. And I'm like kind of like going through all the pictures in my head that I've taken of my seniors, and I would say 90% of them fall in that category, which means, if I'm taking sports photography, that would probably be the hero, the Nike. I related with that too. And then I related with the Lover, because you take a lot of girl pictures for senior photography. Boys are like, 30 seconds, and they're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And the ladies are like, one more, and nowadays with the photography, they are they're so capable with their selfies that I'm basically a second thought. They're already moving. They already know how to move their bodies and move and sway and all of that. It's good. It's totally fun. But I've had multiple clients tell me, the moms have emailed me afterwards and said, my daughter felt so beautiful during your session. And I didn't even know that was something I was going for. But once you get told that, you're like, oh, I want to do that.
That's what I'm going
I
for.
want
Yeah.
to make you feel special today.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's what I went to do.
Yeah. And you don't know until you try.
Like, I had no idea that I would like senior photography. I was like, I don't know about the divas. Like, I don't know how this is going to play out, you know, but it actually has been really fun.
Right.
I love it.
And the rulers are great because the rulers talk to all their subjects. Go to Millie.
Yes.
Go to Millie and get your pictures taken.
They do.
I mean, that's great marketing right there. But that's it. Like you created that emotional connection without even realizing it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're naturally sharing that message with their friends and family, and you're growing your business because of that emotional connection. And so that's the essence of why we're here. So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share really quick before we go into the next? You don't have to. You can if you want.
Well, but just because I connect with what she was saying, like I see elements of a few in there, but the two biggest ones are like I see my business as the sage where I'm trying to enlighten and inform people, but the clients are the heroes because they're inspired to take their health into their own hands. So I'm like empowering them to do that. So it's like kind of both.
Yeah.
But then, my personality is like, I want you to be amused and joyful, and I'm like the right.
And you can still absolutely add that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I feel like the innocent, because you said about the baby stuff, I was like, oh, innocent, okay. That should be part of, my field. But from the beginning, like accepted and comfortable and like the regular gal thing, I'm just going to admit the guy because it's a children's story. Although I do have men talk for their children. I just feel like that regular gal is probably like at the top of that list. But that jester, like that picture of that woman and the Doritos and the thing, that's who I am to make people feel comfortable, if that makes sense.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I tend to lean that way because I want you to have a great experience and I want you to feel comfortable and accepted, and I'm good at being vulnerable and just being who I am. So I feel like that jester part is me into the innocent and the regular gal.
Yeah, I can see that. And you might not be like, as a jester, you might not have those bright yellow, bold colors. You might have more of an innocent, soft palette, but you can still infuse the humor to it, like an everyday humor
just
type of thing.
Okay, relax. Leave all your worries at the door.
Yeah. I know you've had a crazy day. You have kids.
Yeah, exactly. Put them in that corner, let them color, and come on, go have fun. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the feel. So I feel like those three, and I see how they work together now. At first you're like, oh, I can't pick one, but totally.
You don't have to, yeah. And sometimes you evolve over time. You might just, try to do one thing and discover, I'm trying to be that, but I'm not really that. Maybe my brand is a little bit this, and it's okay to experiment with things and see what people are connecting with. So that's the whole idea behind it, is just experimenting with that. So now that we kind of have this idea of our brand archetype, how do we figure out our story? And how do we identify our customer as a hero? So are you guys familiar with Donald Miller and his book, Story Brand, at all? If you want to dive into this some more, I highly recommend his book. He also has a website where you can actually go through and work through this process, where he actually has you think through. I think I actually have, this is his book. And the basic framework is you have a character who has a problem and he meets a guide. You are the guide. You have a plan for them to either call to action, like, does he have what it takes? Will he overcome? And leads them to success. So this framework, it is not something that Donald Miller has done himself. He just put it into a business framework so we can better understand it as a business. But this framework you can see in all sorts of movies. Like all your favorite movies starts with a character, something awful or something great happens. and he meets a guide. You know, I think Star Wars is such a perfect example. Luke Skywalker, you know, he has a problem, and then he meets Yoda, and then Yoda guides him. You know, who is his father, and will he overcome? Like this whole story framework, we're going to put into our own businesses and figure out, what does our customer really want? What is their problem? We exist as a business because they have a problem, and we're going to solve it. Whether it's an amazing cup of coffee, like, I know you've had a hard day, we have coffee for you. And even just like the simplest little thing. So this is the basic story brand framework. If you have time to dive into this book, it's fantastic.
Can you go back
putting together.
so I can
Yes.
Oh, it's actually in your research.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a resource at the very back with a link to it.
I didn't mean to sleep.
No, that's fine.
I'm like writing 90 miles an hour and here it is right.
And there's probably 1,000 other resources I could put in here, but these are just the things I've talked. Donald Miller, Kay Putnam with the brand archetypes. I love the way she presents it. There's so many other people. She was kind of the original one that I had seen, and now there's so many copycats. But I really like how she presents it. And then, of course, Pinterest and Canva. So we don't have to dive into this right now, but I do want you to think about, what is it that your customer wants? What's the problem that they need solved? How does it make them feel? So the story brand framework, if you've got time to really dive into this, I've really simplified it in your book. I mean, this is really the essence of what you want to find out. But if you want to dive into that more, Donald Miller has a whole book. He has so many questions. You can really start pulling out all the pieces of your story. And in his book, I think he's got, he goes more in depth on how those pieces fit together and how it goes. So what story is your business telling, and do the images on your website capture the essence of the story that you are telling? So that
It's like, no. Not as much as I would want it to. That was an easy one.
that was easy.
That's
No, it doesn't. Well, that's why we're here. We're figuring out, it takes so much time, because like when I go to Pexels, I'm like, there's like millions of images, and how do I choose an image? Well, I'm going to think about my brand archetypes, and so that's going to narrow it down to the kind of images or the colors or feel that I'm going to post on social media, or that I'm going to, put my own message over that. There's other tools for discovering your story. We talked about Donald Miller's book, Building a Brand Story. We talked about archetypes. That is from Kay Putnam. That's kind of a screenshot from her website, and how she breaks it down. And her stuff, if you go on, you can kind of figure out what brand archetype you are on. You can enter your email address and get like a whole page of like, here's fonts that work really well with your, yes, here's fonts, here's colors, and it's more of an inspiration for you. You don't have to do that, but I'm trying to help you streamline your process of figuring out your brand, having your message, so that you can just connect with your customers. So another one is the psychology of color. I think I have the next is a little bit bigger, so you can see all the different brands and the color. This is one of my favorite images. I don't know why. I think I just resonate with how all the different brands fit together. And I think these can be different archetypes as well. This is just more of how the colors show the clarity and warmth, trust. This is going to be like a lot of bank, type of thing. I guess Oreo.
Oreo let you down. They are very dependable.
They're
gluten-free, so I trust them.
They're very dependable. When I need them, they're there.
Always.
That's funny, because I'm just looking at this, laughing at the colors I chose. I am creative, so I chose that fuchsia color. Is literally my favorite color. That's how I live my entire life, and that's the color I chose. Wasn't even thinking, it's definitely not necessarily fitting into the archetypes, but it's who I am, my personality, and in the creation of everything. that's the color scheme I chose because
Yep.
it's like my favorite color.
And again, this is all the psychology behind why we do what we do and the psychology behind the messages that we're telling. And if we use these psychology pieces, it's a lot less we have to explain to our customers. And so it's really fun. What is next? Brands who use visual storytelling. Okay, so this is another thing we're gonna go through. The first one's kind of gives it away. But what brand would this be? And what story are they telling?
Apple.
Apple, yes. Dave, can you say what, you said it's so good.
Made from titanium or like they don't break? Don't break, no.
They have crash detection on their new phone, so if your 17-year-old daughter is in a crash, you get a notification anyway. So.
Which I didn't get right away. I picked out that photo because I was like, oh, it's titanium, like the thing won't. And he's like, no, it's because your 15-year-old daughter, if she gets in a crash, or 16, wouldn't be 15. If you have a 15-year-old daughter driving a car, you got other problems. But with that, Apple tells a story of innovation, creativity, human connection. They're connecting parents, are capturing. So yes, Coca-Cola, evoke feelings of happiness, togetherness, celebration, nostalgia. Really great at that. Yeah, Lego. What kind of story do they tell?
Innovation, I mean.
Innovation, creativity.
But
Humor,
they're
too.
innovative.
Yeah,
Humor, relatable.
totally.
Yeah.
All of that.
That is,
Yeah. So again, just trying to put up samples of how all of this is connecting and visually communicating your story. What about this one?
Adventure.
Open road. I mean, you can feel the.
And see nature around you, experience like what's around you.
Yeah. So those are the kind of images that they're gonna. The open road. I love that. So the story brand framework that Donald Miller, the book that he wrote, talks about the customer journey. What does your customer want? What problem do they need solved? How does it make them feel? And how can you help them? How can you be the guide? As a business, we're not the heroes. We're just the guide, helping our character get what they need. And so I feel like this framework takes a lot of pressure off of me trying to be a hero and trying to win the day for everybody else. You know, this is just more of, I need to come up with a plan to help them get to where they need. So on the customer journey, we talk about these specific questions, and then also on the next page is what 3 or 4 steps can you give your customers to help them? This is, here's your plan. This is the plan that I have. So like Courtney, when you are booking clients, do you have a plan for like, oh, you want to book me? Awesome. Here's what happens next. Here's the plan. Or when you have a client who calls and needs a haircut, like here's the plan. To arrive on time, get a coffee, tip well, yeah, right, yeah. And then what's your call to action? What does success look like? All of these are business questions. I know I want to talk a lot about like the actual photography and taking pictures. But because this is visual storytelling with our businesses and helping grow our business, we have to understand story to be able to capture that. So this is basically just laying all the groundwork for the kind of images that you want to create. So now how do you share your story visually? Yay, we made it to number 3. So this is kind of just the last part of the workshop. there's so many different ways you can go about capturing these images. You can go on and use stock photos, like I mentioned, Pexels and Unsplash. You can even use mock-ups. So I do this a lot with like some of my images that I capture. So this is like the picture that I took, but then if I just showed people this picture, they'd be like, oh, it's a window, that's nice. Whereas if I put it in a frame, put it in an office, I can show this is wall art that you can buy. So it turns it from a picture into wall art, into a function, and shows kind of what that's like. You could also do a brand photography session. So this is, I don't know if you guys know Amber Livermore. She's in Cambridge and she took over a flower shop. And her little daughter was there. So just capturing that, pictures of her and her daughter, like putting together a flower arrangement, and then we put together a bunch of flowers. So you can do a brand photography session. We're gonna look at some AI photos because this is brand new. There's a lot of interesting things coming up with artificial intelligence, and how do we infuse that? Do we infuse that with our brand? And then maybe we capture our own photos. And how do we do that? This is also in your resource section, just a list of places that you can go to find all the stock photos. There's also premium stock photo sites that if you just need a really specific type of image that you want to pay for, that you're going to put on, like, I don't know. A lot of what I have found, like getting free stock photos is great, but millions of people have downloaded or used these. And so you'll see them places. So if you really want like a signature photo that not a lot of people have, you may look at maybe doing a premium stock photo site. So. And then mock-up sites, I just listed those, I think, in your resource section too. If you're going to put together mock-ups, I've used Placeit before. It's really user-friendly. I think you pay, I don't know, $50 for a year to have access to mock-ups. My favorite is Canva. Canva has a lot of mock-ups there too. So, hi.
Looks like it's free. He's going to be using the conference room.
Oh yeah, totally fine. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Light is right here.
So then as a business owner, do you capture the photos yourself? Do you hire a photographer? What is involved in all of that? What's at stake? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to take the time to learn how to take photos? It just depends on your goals. You know, if you don't want to take time, but know that story is important, then maybe you set aside some money to hire someone to capture your story. Maybe you love photography. Maybe you love taking pictures and you want to lean into figuring out how to do that. So there's different ways that you can capture your story. There are different types of photography. So let's say you do want to hire a photographer, look at their work and see the kind of stuff that they do, because there's so many different things. So and I have done this for so long, I'm like, I like to do everything. So from like senior portraits to, I do Venango Valley view. I take pictures of the sunrise from our front porch that overlooks the Venango Valley. So it's just more of a side passion project that I really enjoy doing, landscape photography. I was gonna say product photography. I just snapped this photo. I actually did a video, and it's our garage. It doesn't look as beautiful, as anything else. But I took a video of Dave making the candle holders, and it got like 20,000 plays on the reels. Like I was texting Millie, I was like, well, Dave's popular on my Instagram page. Like I can't get anything to move, but so you never know what's gonna hit or connect. And even though this has a lot going on in the photo and it's just a phone photo, you never know what's gonna connect with people. So yeah, so when you're looking at hiring someone, figure out what kind of images that you want to capture and look at their work and see if it resembles what you want to capture, if that makes sense. And again, leaning into that, what style do you want? Do you want like more of a studio kind of shots? Do you want outdoor, natural light kind of shots? And how much are you willing to invest? in either hiring someone to take pictures of your story, or if you want to invest in yourself so that you can take your own photos. So, and again, studio or natural light, just the difference. Brand archetypes can play into this as well. Like, this would feel more like innocent nature explorer kind of brand archetypes. With a studio, I could see like the royal, something more staged type of feel. And again, just the difference between like a studio shot and an outdoor shot, and the different emotions that you can have that you can capture in your photos. So this section, and we're almost done, is artificial intelligence photos. I think I went on Adobe Firefly and took some real images and made some images. So we're just going to go through and see if you can recognize, is that real or is that fake? So this image, would you say that's real or was that fake?
I think it's fake. Fake? I think it's real.
It's fake.
Is it fake?
It's fake. Yep. It's, I don't know what I said either. I put it on other ones, how I did it. Okay, real or fake?
Real. It's fake.
Fake.
This one's fake.
The shadow.
The shadow, yes.
Yeah.
The shadow from the plant is off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence will get better, but right now you can kind of tell like the shadow. That was really good. I didn't notice that before. I noticed like it's like melted, melted plastic on a lens, and like the Apple logo isn't quite right.
Keyboard's off, yeah.
The keyboard's off. So I don't know where it is. I have the image. I don't think I have it on here. I wanted to create an image for this, the art of storytelling. And I was like, okay, Apple laptop on a desk with a camera. And it came up with this. And I was like, well, that leaves a lot to be desired. So I thought it's kind of funny. All right, real or fake?
That looks great. Real.
That one's real or fake?
Real.
So I've kind of been, one of them's real and one of them's fake.
That one looks real.
Real.
That one looks fake.
Yeah, stuff in the background seems
I kind of looks funny.
Yeah, that one's fake. So I typed in young adult woman looking up the sky, holding her hands or whatever. So those are all the different.
an earring behind her ear, but not in front of her ear.
Right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So you just like Google that, and then you hit AI photo? Like, I don't understand how you do these. Am I that old that I don't know?
No,
Okay,
there's
good.
different programs that you can add. I think this is Adobe Firefly.
Okay.
So they have a special,
Gotcha.
you type in what you want and it comes up with it. So
From everything they
Yeah.
stole from you, that everything you talk about or whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
So this one, real or fake?
Real.
Real?
Looks good. I'm hungry.
There's that or like this.
Oh, the red looks fake.
Yeah, fake.
Yeah, that one's fake.
Yeah.
That one is real. That one is fake.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, is it popcorn or feta cheese?
Oh,
Yes.
it's popcorn there.
Doesn't it?
Popcorn on the side.
I asked my 10-year-old son, I was like, is this real or fake? He goes, oh, it's so fake. He goes, look at the tomato.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're right. Look at the tomato.
Yeah.
But, and this is just what I typed in. It's a flat lay of a Cobb salad and an aqua bowl on a rustic dark wooden table. I'm like, lots of options. And so, I mean, looking at that, you could almost pass that as a real photo. Real or fake?
That's real. That's Pittsburgh, isn't it? Pittsburgh shot. I have one of those.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've seen
That's
that photo
Pittsburgh.
before,
Yeah.
so-
It could be
Yeah.
a stock photo that's real, but
Yeah.
I would say that's real.
There's that one compared to,
That's real. I think I say the other one.
I don't know. Coloring.
Mm.
I don't know. 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 I don't Not just.
So here's what I typed in.
Right in the front.
It's not Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no.
Pittsburgh.
I typed in Pittsburgh skyline sunset, and it was like, I mean, there's a river,
Yeah, there's
buildings.
It's not that blue.
It's got like the Bat Building. This is Nashville. We're like, that's Nashville. That's the Bat Building and the Bullet Building. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I mean, it's not there yet, but just showing how if you need a picture of a skylight, how you can just type in what you need and it kind of creates.
Well, people don't know.
Thing for you.
Somebody who doesn't know.
Oh, yes, that's Pittsburgh.
Sure, that's Pittsburgh. Scrolling too.
Right.
Like, are you really paying attention to the photo or the colors just enough to keep you captivated and
Totally.
moving?
Yeah.
So interesting.
And then you could type in whatever to create, because there are things that if we create a story about a koala going to space, we can't really go out and capture that downtown Meadville. I mean, we could, but it would be like you have to rent a koala, or like where do you get a koala and how do you put him in a spacesuit, and So just showing the creativity behind these brand archetypes and how we tell our story and the resources that we have to use that we could have fun with it and tell a story. Okay, so we're going to capturing our own photos. This is where we can kind of, if we have time, if you guys want to hang out, we can just play with our cameras and have fun with this stuff. This is kind of the part where we are diving into this. So capturing better photos. When we tell a story through photography, there's different things like choosing the right lens, figuring out what kind of lighting you're using, your composition of the image, the color and textures and everything. So this was an image from, I think, our front yard. One of the peonies had bloomed, and taking a picture of that, and like with my macro lens. I love shooting with my macro lens. So those are the kind of images I love to take. And of course, I love this quote.
I feel better.
Yes, it makes me feel so much better. All right.
1,000 more better.
We are learning together. We're learning forward. So just really quick, getting behind like the photography, and I could probably do a whole other workshop just on photography. Today was more about the story that we tell and the kind of images that we want to capture. But when we do want to capture our own images, then we get to figure out what kind of lenses that we're using to tell a story that we want to say. So these are the different types of lenses that capture like close-up, wide angle, landscape, getting a whole big view. So this is basically resources for you. If you want to dive into photography more, this just breaks it down. These, I just took a couple, but these are Millie's espresso, what do you call those?
Italian espresso.
Yeah. That's just a regular like 35 millimeter lens. This would be like a 35 lens idea when you capture that. This is the same subject matter, but this is more maybe a 50 millimeter lens. This is maybe 85, a macro lens, maybe a 50 millimeter lens. So figuring out the right lens choices when you're telling your story can make a big difference in the kind of images that you capture as well. So understanding the different lenses and what kind of photos they can take will help you make better choices, artistic choices, and the kind of images that you want to capture.
Is that true with your phone too?
Yeah, like the telephoto and
on there that I don't understand anyway, but I just am like, click, that looks nice. It's true. I'm so sorry. I want to be better. I just don't know how, and nor do I have time or the desire. So I was hoping my phone would do more for me.
right.
And I mean, I spent the money on a Pixel hoping that it would be better. So I see all those words in there. So this is something you could transfer over into like whatever you're
into a phone photography.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's hard because I've done both and I've tried to capture both. The phone photo, as long as you have good lighting, you can probably get a good photo. You're not with a phone, you're not going to be able to get maybe more of like a macro kind of photo. I think you can get in close, but you're not going to get like the veins of a leaf type of thing or the eyeball of a bug. But you might not need that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the little, look how soft that.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm just sorry. Process.
Yeah, no, I think, and I'm not familiar with the Google Pixel, but you should be able to like zoom in or zoom out.
You can get in and get close, but you and sometimes like when you take the photo, you can zoom in on the photo and get a better without it distorting it a little bit.
I found it's a lot. It helps. It takes the idiot out of it. Like, like I don't feel like I've tried, but I noticed there were so many other like these words on there, and I do want to know what they mean for that. So I'm.
Oh yeah, so maybe that would help
But
kind of see, yes, and in this, the camera lenses thing, it talks about the standard prime. What would you use that? Well, it kind of mimics the human eye. A wide angle is going to be greater for tighter spaces. It's just a little cheat sheet to help you maybe understand
it's really
that better.
And phones are pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
they are really amazing how much clarity you can get in a phone photo.
Yeah. You can still capture the essence of a story with whatever camera you have. You could have an old film camera and still capture the story behind it. You just have to know what story you're telling and the emotions that you want to capture. And then camera's just a tool. And then the macro lens, fisheye lens, total shift lens. So just examples of, this is my son Owen's Legos, and so using a macro lens, I can, tell a story. He loves setting them up. Actually, I brought some that we can play with. He sets them up, and he loves telling stories. So I love capturing the macro lens of his stories. So, or even, something close up. What would be an example of maybe like at your shop with a children's clothing, maybe the textures, organic textures, maybe you could get, getting a close-up photo of just, you just want to feel it. You just want to reach into the camera and feel it.
Another thing I struggle with is finding, like, you can easily make a hair look fake. Or say I do her hair and I take a picture and it could look brown, dark brown.
Oh, right.
Or not the true, like, oh, she's platinum, white, icy blonde, and it looks dull over the phone. Because you don't want that. Or like trying to find two pictures that are different poses, but still have the same hair is like almost impossible. Like I just like look at my pictures. One girl's looking at me and the other girl's to the side. It's the same hair, but
it looks different in both photos.
And like, you don't want to catfish people. You don't want to lie or no filters or anything. So that's been a huge struggle with me because and a lot of people are way taller, so they're like up here where I'm tippy toes, and I still can't get angles.
Right. For something like that would probably be the quality of light, because the light changes maybe if they're moving. So you could make sure that I don't know what it looks like.
We have a whole bunch of ring lights, and it's great, but you can tell it's like a ring light.
My favorite step outside.
Yeah.
Yes, it's when you fight with the wind, and that's like especially when you put lip gloss on because your hair just like sticks to your
Yeah.
that's where we go. But nowadays I work from noon to 8, so it's like my
right. So especially now that the time change, you lose that. And maybe a good solution would be like, we have some lights over here that you could look at, and I don't know if you have space where you are, where you can set up like a station where like when they're done, they can come over and get their glamour shot or something. Make that a part of your process. Like, you look beautiful, you might as well get your photo taken, and maybe under like lights that are. It's not a ring light. Maybe the ring light. Maybe trying different kinds.
Yeah.
Maybe trying like this kind of setup could work. I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to kind of play around with it and see what works best.
I know the salon that I go to, they use reflectors. So like, I have to go to the front window. I just went brown again. I actually have really gray white hair. And they put more gray white in, so I go flat. It's like flat mini, but I literally just had brown put in. But like I'd sit at the window and she brings my hair down like this, you know, and I'd have a reflector here in front of the window and it was pretty true to color. So it is definitely a lighting thing, but like I would guess with brown, I'm not going to need that extra light, you know, so it doesn't really matter too much, but.
Yeah, maybe a reflector would be.
I was just thinking of these little ones that you have here.
Yeah.
It was just something, it was just small, it wasn't big, but I just held it like this and it reflected off the light because the windows are here. They do have a lot of windows at my place, but you know, yeah.
And you might have to experiment with different things. Like you tried the new phone. Well, I'm not sure if that worked. Or maybe try a reflector. Yeah. I think it's one of those you just try different things until you get it. But also, don't be so critical on yourself because you're going to see that because you're a professional. But your clients are going to see that and go, "Oh my gosh, I love that. That's pretty." And then when they come in to see you, you can say, "I don't know if you have samples and."
Of like hair?
Yeah. Right. And then do more of a one-on-one consultation with them then, or if their friend sees it, you know? So trying to capture, I don't know. I think you just have to keep playing with it and see what could work, or different lighting instead of a ring light and different temperatures of light. So this is just what do you call this? Fisheye lens. Just giving you an idea of the different lenses you're capturing. You know, if anything comes up close to the fisheye lens, it's like really big. So obviously doing senior portraits with this would not be flattering for your diva princess girls. They probably wouldn't like a fisheye lens. This might be really fun, a fun fisheye lens though for you, right? Yeah. Like with kids. Or like just their expressions or an eye or something would be really fun. And this, I have the green screen set up, but this is just kind of an example. We used, this is my daughter Callie and my son Truett. On this one, we put her in front of a like green screen, and then we added, this is actually AI that helped me create. We just said, you know, young girl reading in a garden against a cobblestone wall or whatever. And so the story we wanted to tell was this fairy tale, you know, Isabella, I can't remember the whole story, Millie, I don't remember. Isabella sitting reading. Yeah.
I don't understand. What do you mean? That's Callie. So she's AI there?
No, she's not here. We just, we used this setup. We shot her against a green screen, and then we just brought in a background. Because with the green screen, we can delete the background, and then we just added in a little cobblestone thing. So just showing kind of what you can do. It's like our creativity can just go next level with it. But we want to use our creativity. It still has to fit within our story and our brand story that we're telling. So yes, we could do anything we want, but is it in the brand story that we're telling? So really quick, lighting is a huge, this is like a lot of natural light. This is one of my favorite things is like big, huge windows with light coming in with natural, it just has a natural feel. I use this all the time. This is just an image I pulled together, but the rule of thirds. Are you guys familiar with the rule of thirds? When you're framing your image, you want your subject, your eye naturally goes to these intersections. And so when you take a photo and you frame it, you don't want to put your subject like right smack dab in the middle. You want to kind of move things over a little bit or over here. So like maybe a picture of Callie. She, you know, if you can kind of picture a grid, you can see she kind of fits in this top right-hand grid. You know, her, like sometimes I like to put people's noses like right smack dab in the middle of that, like here, or put their eye, like when I'm taking a close up, I want to put their eye right there, just because for some reason, your brain just understands the image that way or processes things. And you can tell a story the way you have your subject in here. So it could balance a photo if you want your photo to feel really balanced, or if you want to make it feel really unbalanced. It just depends on the emotion that you want to capture. With like the rule of thirds, of course, we talked about the psychology of color and bringing color into your images and using that again. And the psychology of color, that's something you can absolutely dive into. And then also in your workbook is, there's just so many ideas for your business that you can take pictures of just to get started.